Hey guys, it's Miss Sprunger. Today we are going to go over your worksheet that you're working on at home. So it's the 21st of October and you guys are working on rational equations with decimals. So I'm going to go over the first 4 problems with you guys, and then you'll have the back of the worksheet to practice. It's worth 10 points, so make sure you're emailing me with any questions, but we're going to go over this. This should be hopefully not too bad. It's the same skills we've been working on. It just looks scary because there's decimals in it. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see what we're working on. So this is problem number 1. We've got negative 16.5 minus n equals n minus 6.5 plus 4.2. It looks really complicated, but same thing we've been doing since the beginning, highlighting constants and variables. So I'm going to highlight all of my constants. I'm going to highlight my variable terms, negative n and n. I'm going to draw my line down the middle. All right, so I've got my left side and my right side. So if I'm looking at the left side, negative 16.5 and negative n, those are 2 different types of terms. I can't combine anything, so I'm just going to write them down. Negative 16.5 minus n. So I didn't change anything. I didn't do any math. I just brought them down, because if I look at my right side, I've got 2 constant terms, so 2 yellow terms. So I'm going to bring down my n, my green n, because I've got, that looks not good, sorry. I'm a little picky about drawing on this thing. So I brought down my n, but I've got negative 6.5 plus 4.2. I can combine those because those are both constant terms. So guys, remember, your negative sign is right next to your decimal point. So I'm going to enter negative 6.5 plus 4.2, and that's going to give me negative 2.3. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab my highlighter. And even if you don't have a scientific calculator at home, you guys should have scientific calculators at home. However, if you don't, you can do this type of math with a calculator on your phone. All right, so I simplified everything on both sides just like I would normally do. The next step would be to move the smaller variable term, negative n or n. Negative n is smaller, so I'm going to go ahead and move it. So I'm going to add n to both sides. That's going to cancel. I'm going to have negative 16.5 on the left. N plus n gives me 2n, and then I'm going to bring down my negative 2.3. All right, I'm going to take my highlighter out again. I've got negative 16.5, negative 2.3, and 2n. All right. I've got all my variable terms on the right, which means I want to get all my constants on the left. So I need to move that negative 2.3 over to the left side. So I can go ahead and do that by moving a negative. I can go ahead and move that by adding 2.3 to both sides. So in my calculator, I'm going to type in, and I'm looking at the left now, negative 16.5 plus 2.3 gives me negative 14.2 equals, I'm going to bring down 2n. Finally, I've got negative 14.2 equals 2n. I want to get n by itself. I know that when I have a number next to a variable, I'm going to divide because I've got 2 times n. So to undo that multiplication, I'm going to divide both sides by 2. 2n divided by 2 gives me n. Negative 14.2, so put that in your calculator, negative 14.2 divided by 2 is going to give me negative 7.1. All right, so there is your first problem. Number 2, we've got 3.1 parentheses 1 minus 1.9v equals negative 34.46 plus 3.5v. Again, it looks way more intimidating than it actually is. So I'm going to highlight all of my constants. I'm going to highlight all of my variables. I kind of went overboard on that one, so let's And then that 3.1 in the front, that's a little bit different, and we'll talk about why. So I'm looking at the left side before I look at the right side. So the left side, I'm thinking, can I simplify anything? Yes, I can get rid of these parentheses by distributing 3.1 to the two terms inside the parentheses. So I can multiply 3.1 times 1. So 3.1 times 1 is just going to give us 3.1. And then 3.1 times negative 1.9v. So 3.1 times negative 1.9. And that's going to give me negative 5.89v equals, and then there's nothing I can simplify on the right side, so I'm just going to write negative 34.46 plus 3.5v. All right. I'm going to go ahead and highlight. So I've got constants and variables. Okay, so I'm going to move over my smaller variable terms. So I'm comparing negative 5. So I'm looking at negative 5.89v and 3.5v. I want to move the smaller one. So negative 5.89 is going to be smaller because it's a negative. So I'm going to go ahead and move it by adding it. So I'm going to add 5.89v to both sides. I'm going to bring down 3.1 equals negative 34.46. And then on my calculator, I'm going to combine these. I'm going to do 3.5v plus 5.89v. And that's going to give me 9.39v. All right. Now that we are here, I'm going to go ahead and highlight my constants one more time. I'm going to highlight my variable terms. So I've moved all of my variable terms over to the right side of the equal sign. So I want to get all of my constants to the other side. So I'm going to go ahead and move the constant over to the other side. So I'm going to move negative 34.46 over to the left because I want to get that away from the variable term. So I'm going to add 34.46. Oops. To both sides. So if I take 3.1 plus 34.46, that's going to get me 37.56 equals, and then I'm going to bring down my variable term, 9.39v. So finally, I've got all of my constants on the left. I've got all my variables on the right. I'm going to go ahead and get v by itself by dividing both sides by 9.39. So I'm going to be left with 9.39v divided by 9.39 gives me v, and then 37.56 divided by 9.39 equals 4. So v equals 4. All right. For this one, n plus 1.1 equals 15.02 minus 3.8m. So I'm going to highlight my variable terms. I'm going to highlight my constant terms. And I really recommend doing this for variable for fractions and decimals, just because it looks like a lot, but when we break it down, it's really not too bad. Same process that we normally would use, just need a calculator a little bit more. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and draw my line down the middle. So I'm comparing my two variable terms. I've got n and negative 3.8n. Well, any negative numbers less than a positive. So negative 3.8n is going to get moved over. So I'm going to move negative 3.8n over to the other side by adding it. So I'm going to add 3.8n to both sides. So I'm going to have, and remember, this n by itself is the same thing as 1n. So I'm going to take 1 plus 3.8, and that's going to give me 4.8n. And then I'm going to bring down my constant plus 1.1 equals, and then I'm going to bring down 15.02. All right. Again, these really just look like a hot mess until you highlight them. So I've got my constants, and I've got all of my variable terms on one side. So I've got them on the left. So I want to move that 1.1 over to the right so I can get all of my constants on the right side. So I'm going to do that by subtracting 1.1 from both sides. So I'm going to rewrite 4.8n equals, and then 15.02 minus 1.1 in our calculator. That's going to give us 13.92. All right, and finally, I want to get n by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 4.8. 4.8n divided by 4.8 gives me n equals 13.92 divided by 4.8 gives us 2.9. N equals 2.9. All right, so this is equation number 3. So this is problem number 3. All right, rational equations, decimals. So last one I'm going to do is number 4. We've got 0.35 plus 3.1n equals 2.3n minus 2.7n. So I'm going to start by highlighting, and those of you who ignore, don't do this, seriously do it. It doesn't take that much extra time. And some of you guys are really on the struggle bus because you are not organized. So make sure you are staying organized. All right, so if I'm looking at the left side, there's nothing that I can combine or simplify. So I'm just going to rewrite 0.35 plus 3.1n equals, can I simplify anything on the right side? Yes, I can combine those two. Those are like terms. So I'm going to take 2.3 minus 2.7, and that's going to give me negative 0.4n. So when I combine those, I get negative 0.4n. I'm going to go ahead and highlight my constant, and then I'm going to highlight my variable terms because I've got 2 of those bad boys. All right, so I've got all of my constants on one side of the equal sign, where I need to move all of my variable terms to the right so I can get them on either opposite side of the equal sign. So I'm going to go ahead and move 3.1n by subtracting it from both sides. So it's going to leave me with 0.35 equals, and then I'm going to go my calculator, negative 0.4 minus 3.1 gives me negative 3.5 n. Sorry, I left it that way. Where's my variable? All right, finally, I've got constants on one side of the equal sign. I've got variables on the other side of the equal sign. I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by negative 3.5. So I can get n by itself. I'm going to be left with n equals, and then we've got 0.35 divided by negative 3.5, and that's going to give us n equals negative 0.1. All right, so there is the last one that I'm going to go over with you guys. So go ahead and work on those last 6 independently. This is what, I mean, this was already my plan, even when you guys didn't have a remote learning day, to work on this worksheet. So you guys should be able to take some time, finish this. Let's see, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So make sure you're emailing me with any questions that you guys have. So I wanted to reward you guys if you watch the videos. Don't tell your friends or anything. But if you watch the video all the way to this point, my code word is going to be watermelon. And if you come to my desk on Thursday and tell me watermelon, I will give you guys 2 pieces of candy. So if you come on, don't tell your friends, because they shouldn't get a reward if they didn't watch the video. So if you watch the video all the way to the end, tell me watermelon and I will give you 2 pieces of candy. All right, guys, good luck. Email me with any help or any questions. Email me for help or any questions. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.